Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. It is 1 o'clock, so that means it is time for our daily reading lesson. I am excited again. This is already let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 7th lesson. I feel like that I'm getting pretty good at doing these. So I hope that you agree with that too. I hope that you are continuing to learn, which is what my goal is by doing these. And I hope that in doing this, not only are you learning, but you are learning some tricks that you can put in here to help you become a better reader anytime. If you're at school or not at school, if you're just trying to remember something that you are working on at home. So with that being said, the first thing that I need to share with you today are your materials, of course. You are just going to need paper and a pencil again today. Don't need any art materials like you did yesterday when you were doing your haiku. So today is just a paper and a pencil day because it is more nonfiction. Yay! And look at my amazing drawing. So first of all, I put a heart next to nonfiction because I said that we are working to always love nonfiction and make sure that that we realize how important it is that we master nonfiction. But at the bottom, I told you I was not a good artist. I drew what you maybe can guess would be a dog. And that is because our text today is going to be what are called an excerpt, which I think is a really, really hard word for me to say. So that word means a portion, a part of. So we are going to be reading a couple parts of your dog's superhero skills in here, learning and taking some notes, learning some note-taking strategies with how we can become better readers using this fun nonfiction text. So this is called Your Dog's Superhero Skills. It is by Ellen Lawrence, and it is actually a book that I've not had in my classroom for very long, but I thought that it would be a fun one that I could teach a strategy with. So I brought it home, and I hope you agree. So as I said, I'm not going to read this entire text, but I even put a paper clip in here so I could mark my places. So the first thing that we're going to do whenever we look at a nonfiction text is, I told you on Monday when we did nonfiction, I believe it was on Monday's lesson, that the first thing that I do is I go through and I look at all of my text features, and with that, including my graphic sources. So graphic sources we know are pictures. They could be maps. They could be other things that show us different types of data. So in this case, we just have a couple pictures to look at. I also see my subheading here, which says super ears. So we can assume that on these 2 pages, we are going to learn all about how a dog uses his or her ears to be able to do whatever a dog needs to do. So before I read, I'm looking here at my picture caption, which we know I said 90% of the time it's going to give us additional information. So we have to read those. And I always say, read them first. Look at those text features. Read those captions first so you don't accidentally forget to read them. So I see, just listening for the mail lady. That's just kind of a funny caption. You can see the dog's ears are perked up. This dog, the more I look at this picture, the funnier it gets to me, because I feel like that this dog has a look on his face like, ugh, this coronavirus, this sitting around in my house and only being able to go out into my backyard or a short walk with my family, I'm over it. That's what he looks like he's saying to me, that he's, ugh. So he says, there, and we see there's an arrow pointing to the outside edge of his ear. It says this part of the ear is called the pinna. Most dogs have large pinnae, I guess more than one, the two ears, that amplify, which is a vocabulary word that means to increase the loudness of sounds. So they have a little something extra on the outside of their ear that allows the sound, I guess, to go through easily. So now I'm ready to read. It says, have you ever noticed your dog suddenly seem to freeze? You can't see or hear anything, but your super pooch is on high alert. It's likely your dog's ears have detected a faraway sound that your ears cannot pick up. A dog's sense of hearing is about 4 times more sensitive than a human's. Dogs hear all the same sounds that humans do. They also hear sounds that are too high-pitched for human ears to detect. So their hearing is about 4 times better than human hearing. I always tell my boys and girls in class that as far as our senses go, our eyes, our ears, our smell, our taste, we are not one of the best animals out there. If anything, we are middle of the road to kind of the bottom. You might say, well, I think we see and hear just fine. Well, it's what we're used to. Can you imagine if a dog's ears were put on our ears? It would probably be very, very overwhelming to us because we wouldn't be used to that. Dogs rely on their hearing a lot. So the dog's sensitive ears are always on the move. They move to help the dog pinpoint where noises are coming from. So maybe you have seen your dogs kind of perk up and kind of flick them a little bit. They're trying to figure out where that noise is coming from. That's something that we can't do. Our ears are attached to our heads. I guess you have seen some videos of somebody that can kind of wiggle their ears a little bit. I can't do that, but that's really just kind of a funny trick. I don't think it helps us hear any better at all. Our ears are meant to stay immobile, to not move on the side of our heads. But dogs are able to move a little bit. So that's about the super ears. Now I'm going to flip and we're going to learn about a super nose. So dogs have a super sniffer. I think that's funny, a super sniffer. So we are going to read to find out how the dog's sense of smell helps it to be able to do every amazing thing that a dog wants to do. So I see this picture right here, rather happy dog. It says a German Shepherd. So this is the type of breed of dog here. Now I see it looks like a little beagle here sniffing on a rock, living its best life. And it says, as it follows a scent trail, a dog usually sniffs about 6 times a second. Can you imagine sniffing 6 times a second? That's how fast it can bring in those scents. It can increase its sniff rate, however, to 20 sniffs a second. So it goes on average about 6, but it can be up to 20 sniffs in 1 second. That's mind-blowing. Dogs really do have super senses. So now I've looked at my text features or my graphic sources here that are part of text features, and I've read my captions. I have read my subtitle here for this part, and I'm ready to read these 2 pages. Just what makes our dogs' noses so good at smelling? Inside both human and dog noses, there is a part called the olfactory means smell, epithelium, the olfactory epithelium that captures smells. In a human's nose, this part is the size of a postage stamp. So it's about this big inside of our nose. Think of it maybe as being a little rectangle or a square. In a dog's nose, it is much larger. A German Shepherd's olfactory epithelium is about the size of a DVD case. Whoa. So that would probably be, you got to think maybe it's not inside the nose. I would say it's probably back here behind the nose somewhere along our facial structure bone. So ours is little. That tells you right there, our sense of smell Not very good. A dog's is the size of a DVD case? What in the world? The olfactory epithelium is covered with receptors, which means things that are able to take in information that capture smells. Your nose has about 10 million scent receptors. Your dog's nose has about 225 million. Scientists estimate that a dog's sense of smell is thousands of times more powerful than a human's. So sense of hearing is about 4 times better. A dog's is about 4 times better than a human's. Their sense of smell, thousands of times better. Whoa. Sometimes we think, oh my goodness, that trash can smells really bad. Can you imagine what it would smell like if we smelled like a dog does? Oh my goodness. I mean, we would probably be able to smell it down the street. That's crazy. Now, so I shared with you the 2 pieces of nonfiction text that we are going to use today to take our notes and help our brains to process the information that has been presented to us. So I'm going to teach you something today that is called side-by-side writing. And this is an easy way for you to be able to, again, take notes. So maybe you are asked to read a chapter in a science book or something for homework. And this isn't just for elementary kids. This is for middle school kids too. There's a whole lot of information thrown to you. And you are saying, whoa, I'm needing a lot of help to try to bring that information into my brain. So what I am going to show you is something that you can do to help your brain to process that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to make a T-chart on my board, okay? And in the middle, if I want, or somewhere along the top, you know what? I'm probably going to write it along the top. I'm going to write the topic. So the topic of this, I told you last week when we did main idea, the topic is something that can be described in I say 1 to 2 words. It is not a main idea. A topic is 1 to 2 words. So what was it that we read about here in Dog Superhero Skills? We read about dogs, what? Dogs' senses. So that's our topic. Our topic, dog senses. But now I am going to break this apart into my 2 sections to help me interpret this information and take some easy notes on it. So the first section that we read about was about a dog's sense of hearing. So I'm going to put a dog's sense of hearing. And on this side, I'm going to put my second one that we read about, which was a dog's super sniffer, right here, the super sniffer. A dog's sense of smell. So this is the information that we have to write about. So my goal for you would be to be able to write probably at least 3 important facts, because these were not long passages. Both were about 1.5 pages, and that is including a couple big graphic sources that were on here. So really, if you combine this and this, it's maybe a page. It looks like about 4 short paragraphs. So the longer your text is, the more notes you will probably be able to have in your side-by-side writing. But in this case, let's come up with 3, okay? So the first one that we read about was about our super ears. So and if you have a fact that you remember from the dog's hearing, you can add that to the comments right now. But if not, I'm just going to throw some up here on the board for us. So super ears, I'm going to go back, and I don't have time to reread this, especially if it is very long. So I'm just going to kind of go paragraph by paragraph, and I'm going to jog my memory, that short-term memory when we talked about brains earlier this week, and see if I just kind of glance at each paragraph, see if I remember what was in there. Let's see, and also picture captions. Let's see. So I see the word high pitched. That reminds me that dogs can hear higher pitched sounds than humans can. So that's one of my notes. Higher pitched is a type of compound word that has a hyphen in the middle of it. A lot of compound words don't. Some of them do. And you just kind of have to remember certain words that need that. So if you have like higher pitch or lower pitch, needs that little hyphen. Dogs can hear higher pitched sounds than humans. Okay, so there's one. Number two, I see on the move. It said dogs are able to move their ears to figure out where sounds are coming from. So dogs can move their ears to pick up sounds. And then the third one, you all still see that? Yep. The third one, remember how I said picture captions give us more information? So it says that dogs have large pinnae that increase the loudness of their sounds. So that pinnae is found on the outside of their ears. So I'm going to put dogs, S apostrophe, meaning more than one dog has this. Who owns the pinnae? The dogs do. Dogs is plural. Dogs pinnae amplify noise. So there are my three good tidbits of information that I want to remember from this text. So now I'm going to flip over to a dog's sense of smell, aka the super sniffer. So again, I'm only going to go through kind of paragraph by paragraph. I don't have time to reread all of this, but I have time to kind of look at a couple words in each paragraph, see if it jogs that short-term memory in my brain. Oh, that bold word, that was probably something that was important. The olfactory epithelium. So we know that we all, I guess, any animal that can smell, I would assume has an olfactory epithelium. I don't know that for certain, but it says both humans and dogs do. So I can assume if we smell, other animals that smell probably have them too. But a dog's olfactory epithelium is the size of a DVD case. And I put an exclamation mark at the end of that because it is amazing. And you know what I'm going to do? Because that was an important vocabulary term, I'm going to underline olfactory epithelium so that you remember that it was important. Maybe it would be on a test. I don't know. Could be. So if it's a bold term, might be something we need to study. So now let's see. It says it's covered with receptors that capture smells. Oh, so we can say a dog's olfactory epithelium has about 225 million scent receptors. Exclamation point on that too. That's nuts. Okay, again, olfactory epithelium. Can underline it, probably something important. And then let's see, the last one that, I'm going to come down here to we could write that it's thousands of times more powerful than humans. We could write that it sniffs about 6 times a second, or between, on average, 6 times, but up to 20 sniffs a second. I'm going to write that down. A dog can sniff up to 20 times per is a fancier word that means each second. Wow. I just learned all of this information. I'm 38 years old. I didn't know these things. I knew dogs had better senses than we did. I knew that dogs had better hearing and better smelling than we did, along with the rest of their senses, as I was telling you a little bit ago. But I didn't know these individual facts. I didn't know the term olfactory epithelium. It's a new term for me. So now, if I have these notes on my paper, and let's say you have even more text that you have to read about, and and I want to make sure that I am taking notes and remembering the things that I'm reading, could I continue a chart along my paper and instead of only 2 columns have 4 sections of 3 or 4 important facts in each section for me to remember? Yeah, we're getting rid of the unimportant stuff. Maybe it's a little interesting, but we're trying to remember the most important details to help us put it from our short-term memory into our long-term memory, which then becomes our prior knowledge. So to end this, I would probably make a connection to it. Or actually, maybe it could be a connection. You could make a connection to something about dogs that you know, or a dog that you have, or additional information that you have gathered about dogs. But another thing, and I will probably work on this here soon with you, is forming valid opinions. Valid opinions are something that good readers can do. And a valid opinion, boys and girls, is not something that just says, I like dogs. Well, great. I like dogs too. But that really doesn't tell me anything more than, it's not going to help me to remember this text. So a really good, solid, valid opinion gives us more information and proves that we know something. So in this case, I would probably, let's see, where do I want to write this? Maybe I'll just write it up here underneath where I have dog senses. You could write it at the bottom of your paper. You could write it in the corner, draw a circle around it, something like that, so that you can help your brain be drawn to it and see. So a good solid opinion here. Let's start with liking dogs. Well, then I'm going to say, why? Why do you like dogs? I like dogs because, let me think. This is my opinion. I like dogs. And I do. I love dogs. You know, I have a cat, but I do love dogs also. I get really excited sometimes if I see one on the street. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to put a little star next to it and circle it so that I remember this is my opinion. I like dogs because why? I need to think about that for a second. And that allows my brain to come up and process the information that I have here. So I know I've learned about dog senses. That's our topic, dog sense of hearing, dog sense of smell. I like dogs because I'm running out of room a bit there. I like dogs because they help people with, or they help people by using their senses. That's prior knowledge that I have. And I don't know, I'll try to move this so that you can see that a little better. Boom. I like dogs because they help people by using their senses. So that is prior knowledge that I have. Dogs, sometimes we know, can be guide dogs or other assistants to people that have maybe a sense that doesn't work. Maybe you have seen people that are blind, or maybe not all the way blind, but very hard of sight. So what's called maybe legally blind, and they have a guide dog. I have also seen hearing dogs. If someone is does not hear, they can have a dog that has been trained to pick up on those sounds. I have seen dogs that stay with people because supposedly humans' body chemistry may change before they're going to have a seizure, before an owner is going to have a seizure. So they can smell that the human is giving off maybe a different smell, and the dog can alert the person, hey, you need to get in a safe spot because I know this is about to happen to you. That's nuts. So I like dogs because they help people by using their senses. And right here are ways those senses work. So that is it for today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for going back and watching. Again, use this text at any time. My challenge for you today is to do your own side-by-side writing with as many important facts that you can using a nonfiction text that you have at home. So I'd love to see it. Post it in the comments. Show me what you know. Spread the word. Share these videos. I want to help as many boys and girls as possible right now. This is going to be at least 4.5 more weeks. I know, at least here in the state of Indiana. So if we go back at all, who knows? But this is a way that I can help. So share them, spread the word, direct people to my YouTube channel also, Margie Vertrees. They are public there, and boys and girls can watch there each day also. So until tomorrow, two little poodles, goodbye. See you tomorrow. It's Friday tomorrow. Yay, yay, yay. Bye.